Welcome to Auto Off Topic. What's up, Brad? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry
Yeah,
Christmas. Yeah, it is. It's Christmas time.
yeah, yeah. It's Eve of Christmas Eve.
It's double Eve.
Yep.
Evie, Evie.
Sometimes we have,
That means I'm not working
uh,
tomorrow.
yeah.
Wow, we can record
Sometimes
all
we
night.
have, yeah, we could. Sometimes we have on-air Christmas gift exchanges, or we have, but I don't have any this year. In fact, well, I do have something for you, but I'm waiting for the crush of Christmas shipping to be over, and then I'll send it out.
Excellent. We sent you your gift of for you and Stephanie and baby, and we sent things for the baby. But yeah, there is another additional portion of this gift to go to you as well. So we're in
Oh,
the same.
yeah. So yeah, we got a package with no return address, and we were like, "Who sent this?" Because it was like a Miata plush toy, and like, well, this could be for three different people in this house. It could be for the dog, it could be for Andrew, it could be for my son.
Yes, it was definitely for your son. It was something I saw and I said, he's not old enough to have Hot Wheels cars yet, so I can't buy him Hot Wheels cars. And Andrew's probably going to buy him plenty anyway. So a plush Miata is a perfect gift for what is he, 8 months now? 9 months?
Yeah, he's basically almost 8 months. He'll be eight
Okay.
months,
So
in like
a
a
Miata,
week.
a Miata plush toy is a perfect gift for the 8-month old in your life. So
Yeah, it almost looks like it would be like a slipper because
yeah, because
the
the convertible top. I thought the same thing when I
yeah
saw a picture of it, but it was super cute, and I decided that I couldn't not get it for you guys. So yes, he can. You and the dog can fight the baby over it, but it's for the baby. So
yeah. Well, no, it's funny because the dog has soft like squishy toys,
hmm
but they also make baby toys with like the same squeakers in them.
right. So it
And
confuses the
then
dog.
two, like we have a they make a plush Hess truck, so he has that.
hmm
And like a couple times we like go to bed, and occasionally the dog will just grab a toy and bring it to bed. And like he's brought that up, and I'm like, no, Enzo, that's not yours.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, if your dog's laying in bed with the Hess truck and he bites on it too much, it would turn the lights and siren on, which would probably be annoying in bed.
It smartly has a switch. You can make it silent,
Oh, okay.
so it just has the lights, but it sings like three different songs now, which he really enjoys. So it's
The
pretty
baby or
funny.
the dog?
The baby.
Okay. Either way, as long as somebody's enjoying it, they did their job right. Anyway,
But
yes, as stated, Merry Christmas. And that goes to all
yes.
our listeners because I think this episode should be going out Christmas Day or day after Christmas Day.
Maybe I'll put it out Christmas Eve.
Okay. Well,
I
then
don't have anything going on tomorrow, so
definitely Merry Christmas and Happy
yeah.
Holidays and Happy Hanukkah and all the other ones.
Yeah. Um, so been watching some videos
Videos.
because there's not much else to do. Yeah.
Not much else to do. Sounds like you've had some time off. Because I have plenty to do because I've been working and after working doing Christmas things. So, however, I have been watching some videos.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've been working, but then
Oh, not much
afterwards,
to do as because of pandemic things.
yeah,
Ah, I get where you're going with that. All right, that makes
yeah.
sense. So yes, I've
And
been
I and
also
I,
not doing much.
and I meant to bring this up on a past episode, but I I'd watched and I sent it to you. The Dip Your Car people took an Evo
hmm
10 and they painted it with uh Muso black, which is a black that absorbs like 95% of all light, which is kind of crazy. It's after looking at this, it's not the first car that somebody's painted with a black like this, but it
Yeah,
was the first time I'd seen it
yeah,
done.
it has been done before, but it's it's the first time it was done on a Mitsubishi, so it became directed to us through our social media because we see that kind of stuff. So I
So
think
there's
it was an
actually,
A4 or something I saw done on it before.
yeah, there's a really good podcast called 99% Invisible. It's about like design stuff and basically hidden design that you don't realize exists. But they did a story on a thing called Vantablack, which was an aerospace coating. It's like carbon nanotubes, and it absorbs like 99% of light or something. Like,
Okay.
it's an insane coating, but it's like a coating. It's not really like a paint. So the long and short of it is this British artist named Anish Kapoor partnered with that company that created it to have exclusive rights to it, which a lot of other artists were really upset that they would have one artist would have exclusive rights to a medium or a tool, you know,
Yeah, that doesn't
because
seem
art,
right. Art should be, yeah, you know, free
yeah,
expression.
it should be, yeah, exactly. And people, the reason why you would want to use a black this dark is because it can really like play with your brain and like hide things. And if you use it in an artistic way, I'm sure there's like really cool stuff you can do with it that I'm just not an artistic painter, so I don't know what to do with this. But anyway, what happened was another artist got really mad. His name is Stuart Semple, and he developed his own Black is Black paint, and it was made available for everyone to use except for Anish Kapoor.
Which is awesome.
Explicitly. Yeah.
I love those. I love those like really like petty little things that are thrown into this kind of stuff. That's good stuff.
So they created, eventually it's called Black 3.0. It's like super, super dark. And then this other company out of Japan came out with Muso Black, which apparently is an acrylic. And that's what they painted this car. And when you see this video, it's like really mind breaking, because even now the black trim that they didn't paint, like the black plastic, totally doesn't look black.
Right. Well,
Like,
I think I've heard somebody else describe it this way, and I agree 100% with it. It makes the car look like the download content you didn't pay for in a video game.
yeah, it's like just a silhouette.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have any, you can't see any of the creases in the body. You can't see anything.
Yep.
It's really, really bizarre. Like, it really messes with your sense of perception. And yeah, I could see why artists want to use that. Like, you could probably paint
Do
like
cool stuff with it.
Yeah, you could paint like a 3D bust of something, and then it would look like just a black hole. But if you allowed people to touch it, it would have like a facial feature, right? It would be so weird and trippy. So
until it's covered in fingerprints, and then
yeah,
it looks normal again.
But
no, it's super cool.
Anyway, it was just a cool video that.
Yeah, dip your car. I think was I think you said that originally. Actually, that was the company that put out the video of it. It was covered on like Jalopnik and a couple of the car sites you can usually find it through. So it's neat to see, and I bet we'll start seeing that used in places. I was thinking you probably start seeing it in movies and stuff to try kind of create different effects for the movies, and it probably help with special effects and sometimes too. So
yeah, you'd paint your camera cars in that color,
so they blend into the background better. That's for sure.
And
reflect.
Yeah, it's just like, it's crazy black. It's just like, probably I'm sure they're using like the fancy aerospace one for like advanced stealth aircraft.
Yeah, stealth bombers.
Yeah,
I could see it would be a good technology for something like that. Bombers or tanks or whatever. Yeah, they need to hide giant boats.
But speaking of that, you sent me a video about
speaking of black cars,
70 Dodge Challenger.
Yeah, right? Really cool video.
Called The Black Ghost.
The Black Ghost. So the video is put out by the HVA, which is the Historical Vehicle Association, which we'll chat a little bit about who they are afterwards, because I didn't know much about them, but it's a pretty neat organization. They did a couple of
Haggerty. It was on the Haggerty channel, YouTube channel, right?
I know it's on the HVA's channel, the Historical Vehicle Association. They have a partnership with Haggerty, but it was not on Haggerty's channel. So as long as you watch the one I sent you, because there is one on Haggerty's channel about the same car, but it's much shorter. This was like a 39-minute video.
Yeah, I watched the long one.
Okay. So, a super cool story about the car. It's funny when you think about movie making and you think about documentary making. You could make a documentary about the design, the evolution of how it came to be, the engine choices, what that particular 1970 Dodge Challenger was as a whole. But
Yeah,
you wouldn't think that there'd be enough content in one car to create a video about 40 minutes of information about this one particular car. It seems like kind of a weird way to go about making a documentary. And as a car guy, we've all seen like the Petrolicious videos or some like the Hoonigan autofocus videos will do a thing about a car, but it's definitely geared towards car people. And if you're not a car person, it's not going to get your attention at all. You're not going to watch it. You'll start watching it and you'll be like, this is boring. Next. This was like a normal documentary that non-car people I could see watching this and enjoying it because they went into not only a little bit of the history of a Dodge Challenger, but they went into the history of this particular Dodge Challenger and the person who bought it new and his family and all the story around this one particular car. And they made an excellent documentary. And it's called, the name of the documentary is just called, I think it's called The Black Ghost, right? And
yeah, I think so.
you can just Google, YouTube search it, and it's on, again, the Historic Vehicle Association's page. What a cool story. It's 2020, and it's one of these stories where there are still barn finds out there. There are still forgotten cars. This particular car came out of hiding in 2015, but it's just a I challenge anybody to watch it and not tear up a little bit by the end because it's a really good emotional story about the car and the family involved with the car. So the basic of the story is it's a black 1970 Dodge Challenger, which is rare enough in itself.
Triple black.
Yeah, black on black with a black vinyl roof. But
Black
then,
Gator vinyl roof.
yeah, I was going to get to that next. But then on top of being triple black, it's a triple black with a gator grain roof, which is a super
I
weird
didn't
option.
even know that was a thing.
Chrysler had a few weird vinyl top options.
Chrysler, it still is a crazy company.
Yeah.
Like their offerings in the 70s is really what set them apart from everybody else.
Do you know what a mod top is?
No.
So it was a vinyl top that was printed with flowers all over it.
Huh.
Yeah, and they had a paisley top too.
That was a thing?
Yeah.
How rare are those?
Very rare, and obviously a lot of them didn't survive.
Yeah.
And if the top was redone in the 80s when the cars were 10 years old, then they had a normal vinyl top on them. So, but yeah, it's called a mod top, which is very like the 60s mod movement. Anyway, so it's a triple black exterior, black interior, black gator grain vinyl roof, manual transmission car, and 426 Hemi car. So that combination, I mean, this car's probably one of one if you want to get into the pedantics of production. It's got the white bumblebee stripe around the back. Super cool car. 70 Challengers are one of the best looking of all the pony cars, in my opinion.
Yes.
I think that most people would probably agree. They're a really good looking car. And this car had the steel wheels with the little center caps and red line tires, and it was new, or white walls, whatever they were. It was cool looking. And it's just a neat car. And the story goes that this veteran at the time, still active military, bought this car brand new, spec'd it out at the dealer, and said, this is what I want. This is how I want it. I want all these options. And I also want the shaker hood, which is a cool part of the story. So the car gets built, gets delivered. It becomes this legendary street race vehicle in Detroit. Everybody knows of it. He doesn't race very often. It only came out when, the top dog race cars were being undefeated. This 426 Hemi Challenger would come out and, it had real low rear gears and they ran slicks in the street and they would just dominate the street races and then go home until they needed to come out again. And nobody knew who it was. Nobody knew anything about it. They just knew this black Challenger. And that was all they knew. Nobody knew that it was a police officer. Nobody knew anything else about this. They knew the car. So the whole thing goes into a story about it, and unfortunately, the man who owned the car brand new has passed away. So the story is told through a friend of his at the time, his son, and some archival footage that they had of this guy doing interviews. I'm not sure where that came from. Didn't really explain that.
I don't know.
Didn't really explain that, but they had archival footage of him talking about his life, which was a pretty neat addition to the piece. So basically, the car went parked in the 90s.
Parked even earlier than that. He parked it in the 80s.
Yeah, it had a small blip of life in the 90s when they got it running one day, but never took it out of the garage, right? That's how the story went?
Yeah. Yep.
So it was parked since the 80s, you're right, until 2015 when he passed away. And then his son, who wasn't particularly a car guy, inherited the car. And his father's last wishes were just like, don't give it away. So
Yeah.
his son inherited the car and decided, as a lot of people would do that inherit something like that, hey, I'm going to keep my dad's memory alive and we're going to restore this car. Not knowing anything about cars, he gets involved in getting the car running again. And something in his brain, as a non-car guy, it's hard to see how he even thought this way, said, don't restore this car. Just get it running and make it the way it was when Dad had it. Which is kind of neat to see, because most non-car people would be like, when are you going to paint that car? The paint's a little faded, or it's got a dent in the quarter panel. Like, when are you going to fix that? And for some reason, this guy didn't do any of that stuff. He managed to get in contact with a friend of his dad's that had helped get the car running one day back in the 90s, who happened to be like a huge Mopar expert who came in and consulted and helped and got this car running.
Yeah, basically was like, do not do anything to this car.
Yeah, and he was like, you made the right choice. We're not taking this car apart. We're just going to make it run as is and keep it the way it is. So kudos to the original guy for doing that, and then for this guy for being like, yeah, good choice. We're keeping it this way. The car is too nice to take apart and too original to take apart and too rare to take apart. So they spent a year getting the car running, and getting the car back out and driving around. And, we're giving obviously the short version of it. I don't want to tell every detail of the story because I want you guys to watch it because it's a good show. And I definitely want to support this HVA now that I'm learning more about it. But a couple of key points from the story. Cars are more than cars. And that's the thing that we've always preached on this podcast. Cars are what bring us all together and make us all friends. And they, our family's built around cars and your family's built around cars. And it's just the way it is. And it's neat to see other people have that same passion and love and thing that connects them together. The cool thing about this Challenger is that if it wasn't for this owner and this Challenger, the Challenger never would have been available with a shaker hood. That was a neat part of the story because he ordered it with a shaker hood. And when he went to the dealer to pick it up, it didn't have a shaker hood. And it turned out that Dodge had put it on the option sheet, but had left it at production as an exclusive for the Barracuda instead of the Challenger.
Yep.
So he sued Dodge, saying, hey, I paid for it. It's on the sheet. I checked it off. Where's my hood? So Dodge lost in court and had to make the shaker hood available for the Challenger. And they had to deliver him one to his dealership and pay to have it installed and not have any money out for him. This particular car does not have a shaker hood to this day because the owner didn't trust the dealership to take care of his car when they had it. So he took the shaker hood to his house and left it in a box in the corner for the entire time he had the car. So they also have a brand new in-box shaker hood for the car, which is cool. And the last kind of point of the whole story is just like, cars are an important place in American history, and this story brought all that kind of stuff together because it tells the story of a wartime, a wartime hero. It tells a story of 70s and 80s Detroit. It tells the story of a minority family growing up in that time in that part of the country. And it's just this neat little look back into history of a different time and a different place and a different world that we're in now. And the Historic Vehicle Association um, picks 2 cars a year to put photographs, all documentation, and history of into the Library of Congress. And this vehicle was one of 2 cars that was entered into the Library of Congress this year by the Historic Vehicle Association. So it's really neat to see that there are people that care enough about the American automotive history to go beyond just the car guy. You know, it goes beyond just Andrew and me sitting here talking about how much we like old Mitsubishis. Like there's so much more behind all this, and there's so much more history behind it, and it's really it's neat to see the appreciation of it somewhere else, and to know
What's the
that
other car?
this year,
Yeah.
you know, I had it looked up and then I forget. It was like a Stutz, like 21 Stutz.
Yeah. So the car basically has to have
21 Duesenberg.
significant historical provenance.
Yeah.
Like it has to be. There's a reason it can't just be.
Well, like one of last year's introductions was serial number 001 Camaro.
Yeah.
And there's actually a little piece on the HVA's YouTube channel about that particular car as well. So it's every year they select 2 cars to go with. I have not watched the information on the 21 Duesenberg yet. That didn't catch my eye like a 70 Challenger does. It's a super cool looking car as well, and I'm definitely going to go ahead and watch it next. I just haven't got there yet. I just something about this Challenger video. I'm not even sure what made me click on it and watch it. And I've never even been like a giant 70s Mopar guy other than my Mitsu Mopars. But
Yeah.
it was just something about the video. I was like, that sounds interesting. And it's a 39-minute video, and I still watched it. So there's we talk all the time about YouTube and YouTube videos, and there's quality out there if you know where to find it. And this is one of those ones that was, it kind of blew my mind at how about this video was, because it wasn't what I expected at all. And it wasn't just exclusively about the car. Like I said, it was about all those other things. It was about, you know, the social aspect of the world at the time, and, you know, the history of this police officer and his military history, and just the whole thing was just, it was really neat. So I dig it. And the cool thing is that 5 years after, you know, this man passed away and the son got the car running, the son kept it, and he has no plans on selling it. And he takes it out and uses it like, you know, I use my Camaro going to a car show now and again, or just going for a cruise with the family, and brings it home, puts it away. It doesn't matter that this is a probably multi-million-dollar car. He's just enjoying it as his dad's old car, which I can appreciate, you know, because,
well, that's the other thing. If you sold a car like that, you'd have to get capital gains tax.
yeah, probably. But if you have no money and you have millions, your capital gains tax is, you know, gonna be okay. I'm pretty sure. But regardless, actually, no, he could probably donate that now for something because of its historic vehicle register.
Oh, maybe.
It could be some kind of way. But regardless, the plan is not to ever get rid of it and to pass it down to his son.
Yep.
And that's just a neat story. And his son, he seemed like he was probably about 12 or 13. And he was just into it as his dad was. You know, he was excited about the car, and, you know, it's all doom and gloom when you read these articles about the future of the car hobby and the future people are into cars, and you need to get the right people in the right cars and give them the right experiences. And I don't think it's all doom and gloom for real. I think there's plenty of history out there. It's going to be different, of course. It's just, it'll be a change like it always is. Like the car hobby is not the same now as it was 30 years ago, and it won't be the same in 30 years as it is now. So, and places like the HVA are going to see that, you know, this is a preserved thing in our future, and the car hobby will go and grow and continue to flourish in whatever way it needs to, and however it needs to adapt and become what it is in the future. But highly recommended video. I have said that 3 or 4 times already. I would definitely watch it. Amongst a lot of garbage on YouTube, it's a rare gem. You know, it's, like I said, it's documentary style. Is, if it was produced as a video about lions by National Geographic, it'd be that same kind of quality, I think. You know what I mean? So, good story, good car, good video. fully enjoyed.
Any other videos?
I watched. There's a new video about Pikes Peak.
Yeah.
It's a new series in the Motor Trend channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm terrible because I didn't write down the name of the show.
It's Pikes Peak on the Edge.
On the Edge, yeah. It's produced by the Motor Trend app. And it focuses on 5 drivers that are making their attack on Pikes Peak this year. And it has a lot of stuff about the differences in 2020, you know, being later in the year and the temperatures being different and there not being any spectators and the whole change in dynamics of it as 2020. One of the really neat things is one of the 5 people that they're focusing on is Jeff Zwart.
Yeah.
Who's, I forget how many times champion of Pikes Peak. He's Porsche's official photographer. He always races Porsches. He was racing in Porsche's new 935, which is, I think, a one-of-one car that's built as the anniversary of the 935 race car from the 70s, which he talks about in the series that, you know, it's funny how it kind of comes full circle. His career began shooting pictures of 935s, and now here he is, you know, nearing his retirement racing in a 935. So that was kind of cool. But again, that's another one. It's very well shot. I can't remember the other drivers' names. They're not big names. They're all 3 of the remaining 4 are professional race car drivers, but not like names you're going to know from NASCAR or IndyCar. Just there are so many professional drivers in this world that you don't realize until you start watching stuff like this or hearing about other people in the industry that know these people. There are a lot of people out there that are professional drivers that do, you know, 3rd seat in a 24-hour race car or smaller racing series, like a spec racing series somewhere, and they get paid to race cars. And it's funny. You only think about the NASCAR or IndyCar or NHRA or just the names that you'd hear on your Sunday morning shows, but there's so much racing going on out there. There are lots of professional race car drivers that don't get a spotlight. So it was kind of neat to see that in this. I mean, obviously, everybody knows Jeff Zwart, who's been around any kind of Porsche stuff in the past 40 years. So he wasn't looking for any publicity, but these other 4 drivers, they're a little less known, and it's neat to see them get the coverage that they're getting. Pikes Peak's a cool event. I know you've been there, Andrew, right?
Oh yes, I was there when oh my god, the French guy. Why am I having a blank right now?
Oh, the French guy.
Oh my gosh,
Guy Frencherson.
Huh? The French robot there that I call him.
Sebastian Loeb?
Why? Sebastian Loeb. Yeah, one of the Sebastians. Sebastian Loeb. Yeah, when he broke the record for Peugeot.
Okay.
Which has since been broken by the Volkswagen EV. So
I think it was broken in between, too, by the Mitsubishi EV, wasn't it? Monster Tadojima.
Yeah, but that's his own vehicle. It's not the... I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that...
Don't remember. In a couple years.
The Volkswagen owns the record now. I know that. The all-electric Volkswagen. Yeah. But I think that in between, the all-electric Mitsubishi also did it before the Volkswagen did. But anyway, so what year were you there?
13.
So was it all pavement yet, or was it still dirt?
It had just gone to all pavement. That's why Peugeot wanted to break the record.
Okay. They want to be the first.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it is neat to see the changes in the track from... They did a lot of footage from... back in the days when it was dirt, which was the entire history of it up till now. It's the second oldest motorsports event in the United States. I didn't know that.
The oldest is
Indy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mount Washington.
No, Mount Washington is, according to this video, is Indy and then Pikes Peak.
Ooh, that is disputed because that is a disputed claim because Mount Washington claims to be like one of the oldest.
I wonder if it's based on years that events weren't run, because Pikes Peak's probably been more continuous than Mount Washington has been.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's a good trivia to look up.
Yeah, I'll have to figure that out. So anyway, it's one of the oldest motorsports event in the country, no matter what. So it's certainly been through its changes of things, but now it's all paved. And it's obviously the dynamic is different, but it's amazing watching the cars go up how bumpy the place still is.
It's no less difficult.
No, it certainly isn't. And the attrition rate this year was super high. Like the amount of cars that crashed were much more than a normal year for some reason.
Yeah, because now instead of before you had some slip to the cars, you could drift them around. Now it's just grip, 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 arrow,
Crash.
and when it runs out, it's gone, and the car just goes off. Cars don't spin out; they just go off.
And that's one of the things they're talking up to Jeff Swarton about, and he says, "You don't spin on Pikes Peak." He's like, "Maybe somebody has." He goes, "But it's rare." He goes, "Once you've lost it, you're all done. There's no, you don't spin and then put new set of tires on and keep going. You crash. That's it. You're all done." So, what was cool was they also did a quick little segment on Randy Popst, who was driving a Tesla up this year, and he crashed the Tesla in practice.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, and it's funny. They interview him afterwards, and this, saying what happened. He's like, "Well, I went into the corner." He goes, "It's very bumpy, and the suspension loaded up." He goes, "And I think I must have just bottomed out the suspension, and there was no more travel, and the back got loose." And they're saying, "Well, what's the cause, and what's what's the fix?" And he goes, "I think I just took the corner too fast." And that's such a professional race car driver thing to say. Like, why did you crash? I was going too fast.
Yeah. The speed was okay. The corner was too tight.
Yeah, exactly. But in his case, the speed was okay, but the suspension didn't have enough travel. That's basically what he said. But what was cool was, obviously these are all big dollar race teams. And one of the cool things about Pikes Peak is that it's one shot. You get one shot. That's it.
Whether it's raining, dry, it doesn't matter.
It does not matter. Yeah, and you get one shot. There's qualifying based on segments during practice, but there's no qualifying the whole run from top to bottom. And then you get one shot. It's not multiple runs over the weekend. It's everybody gets to go from the bottom to the top, and then the event is over. So you put all this preparation and all this work into it all year round for your one shot. So if you wreck in practice, you're SOL for an entire year, which obviously nobody wants. So Randy Popes crashed that Tesla in practice, and he did a number on it. Like, he ripped the subframes out of it, and he twisted the whole thing. But with the cage inside the car, the structure of the car, the shape of the car seemed close enough that they went out and bought a new Tesla from a dealership and brought the two of them into a repair facility, a body shop in Colorado, and put them on two lifts next to each other and took all the brand new parts out of the brand new Tesla and put them on the race car. So
crazy.
That tells you the kind of budget they have. That's what's a Model 3, a $65,000-$70,000 car.
Yeah.
And there aren't any at dealerships, I don't think. I think there probably had to be like a loaner car or something, because they're all special order.
Probably.
You can't go to a dealer and buy a new one off the lot, I don't think. But it was neat to see the amount of camaraderie in the race teams. And, it's kind of the same thing we see at Rally, because, it's a very similar feel to the type of motorsport that it is. Where there's heavy competition, but at the same time, everybody wants everybody to complete their lap. And they were talking about one of the teams is running an FRS. It's actually being built by Evasive Motorsports. It was a big turbo tuner shop. Has been kind of famous since back in the sport compact car days. They were having issues with electrical systems in their FRS. And the Tesla team came over and helped them fix it. So it's neat to see that kind of camaraderie in motorsports. And I don't know, that's another good one to watch if you have the MotorTrend app, which is free if you have Prime, I think.
Oh,
pretty sure it's included in the Prime membership, but it's definitely included in your Hagerty insurance.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. So yeah, you should definitely find a way to watch it, Andrew, because it's definitely a neat documentary. A lot of it, they do a lot of stuff with Larry Chen on it as well.
Yep.
He's now the official photographer of Pikes Peak.
Yeah, he's been a couple of years at that now.
And as of this year, he's also sponsored by Canon, so he gets all kinds of new gear from them to do it with. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, which is the dream, right?
Mm.
I'm surprised it took them this long to sponsor him because he's been, one of the top motorsports photographers for a long time. But it's funny to see because I've seen interviews with him in the past where he talks about, how Jeff Zwart is one of his influences and one of his heroes as far as photography goes. And it's neat to be watching this and you see Jeff Zwart sitting there talking about Larry Chen like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So it must be neat to have
Yeah.
somebody you look up to and somebody who was your hero growing up talking that kind of, putting that kind of praise on you as and you're in the same career they're in. So that was kind of neat. It was neat to see because, Jeff Swart was kind of like, yeah, Larry's one of the best in the game. There's nobody better than him. So which is neat coming from the guy who is literally the, official photographer for Porsche. So, but it's cool. I enjoyed it. I haven't had many project car updates, so I've been filling my automotive space with watching car documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the way it's been the past. There's been so much going on with getting ready for the holidays and whatnot that by the time you have some free time, you don't want to go outside and work on a car. You're just like, I'm going to sit on the couch. Also, we got a new couch, so that's cutting into my productivity too because it's really comfortable.
Yeah.
So, and when you buy something like that, you need to use it, right? I mean, it just makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. We got this nice big, huge sectional piece. So much room to spread out and relax and watch documentaries for the holidays.
So speaking of some car news, I was looking that Mahindra can now sell in the U.S. again. Their little Roxor.
Oh, really? What happened?
They redesigned it slightly.
Okay.
To satisfy Chrysler's requirements.
Did they make the Jeep horizontal? Did they make the Jeep grill horizontal instead of vertical?
Something like that. It looks more like an early FJ 80.
Oh,
not a 60. I mean, how different can you make a utilitarian vehicle look? It's
well, I always got mad about that whole thing because
they were definitely built under license in India.
And Jeep should get off their high horse because their design wasn't original either.
Yeah.
Willis and Ford owned the original designs for the Jeep, and Chrysler just inherited it all these years later, pretty much.
Yeah, and then
companies.
So I didn't realize that's how they sell them in the U.S. here is because they are sold as UTVs.
Yeah,
and that's why they can register them in where you live in Arizona.
Well, you can register anything in Arizona, so
okay,
yeah,
fair. But I would, I'd rather have that than a UTV because it's more like an actual vehicle.
So to me, it's a turbo diesel original Jeep CJ3.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like to me. And I've looked at them often. The problem is they're expensive.
I don't know if they're the same. I'm assuming they're the same size as the Mahindra Jeeps that I saw in India.
Yeah, they're small.
And
they're side by side size.
Okay, well, the ones I saw were just normal Jeep size.
Well, have you seen a side by side lately?
Yes, they're pretty big.
They are quite large. They are probably the same size as an old CJ.
And that's the funny thing because elsewhere in the world, anything that's a 4x4 SUV is generally slang called a Jeep.
Yep.
Montero Piero, Jeep. Toyota, FJ, Jeep. This Mahindra thing, Jeep. Like, they'll just call them Jeeps. That's just what they call them. So, obviously, they're going to make them look like a Jeep.
Yep.
I don't know. It's kind of dumb, but I don't think you could use them. I don't think Mass does UTVs.
So Mass does limited use plates.
Yeah.
But what comes with a limited use plate is you also have limits on how far you can go.
Yeah. So maybe if you lived on one of the two islands that Mass has, you could have this thing.
I've seen side-by-sides on streets in Salem before, but they have that limited use plate, and it's usually owned by a company or something that's just going between two properties.
Yeah.
So you'll see the plate says LU. So I'm looking at Roxoras right now for what they go for. With a manual. They come with like a proper manual transmission, which you can't get in a side by side.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd rather have that over a side by side.
Yeah, 13 grand.
Yeah, what's a side by side cost? 26. These things are expensive.
A two seat 2-door side by side. The non turbo ones start down around 13 to 15 grand. So, yeah, that's a 19 for 13 grand. The new 2020. Oof. Well, that one's got a cab. All right, 2020 Mahindra Roxor. That's the new design. Is 14,799.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Roxor Automatic 17,799. Oof. Yeah, I'm not.
You gotta have a really good use case for it because that's a hard sell for me to spend 14 grand on one of these things.
I'd like to drive one. I like to see what their on road manners are like. You know, I've driven a side by side, and the problem is they're not good on pavement. They're super loud, which is annoying because they have that.
I mean, I'm sure this thing is not quiet.
I bet it's not as loud as a side by side though.
Yeah,
the side by sides because they have that slipper clutch style. What do you call it? Snowmobile style transmission. So there's always
like super
knobby tires. They're always in like high RPM range, and they're not good on pavement. But in their defense, they're not designed for pavement, so it's fine.
No.
These here, you can put a normal truck tire on it, and I wonder if it's a little better on pavement. It's probably no worse than an old Jeep. And the way I'm looking at it, if you can buy a 2019 for $13,995, which is a brand new vehicle with a warranty, with parts availability, what's an old CJ cost?
Right.
You know,
I think they're pretty expensive though.
A nice condition CJ5 or CJ3 or CJ4 is going to cost the same kind of money, at least, if not more, for a really nice one. So I think there is a use case if they're half decent on pavement. You would need to get a couple of options like the doors and the windshield specifically. Yeah. But I kind of, I'd like to drive one. I don't know what I like to drive it. And I bet that the resale value is not very high.
No.
So in a few years when you buy like a 2014 or a 2015, it'd probably be fairly inexpensive. But I dig them. I like them.
And then I saw the Alpha Ace EV concept. Now, I know we give a lot of shit on renders, and this is totally a render. It's the startup company in California that wants to build this little EV runabout for like in the city, but it's really, really cool looking.
I have two thoughts on that car.
All right.
One, it's a render, so I'm not holding out hope.
No.
Two, it reminds me in its design of like one of those stylized kids' toys. Like the ones that you would buy at like an FAO Schwartz versus a Toys R Us.
Yeah.
They had like this, I'm trying to describe what it is, but it's a really neat looking car. It looks like a modern interpretation of, I think you said, an Alpha.
I said GTV. Some people are like 510. But I see that slope.
Yeah, that's
the slope back of the Alpha.
The slope looks like a cartoonized version of an Alpha.
So this car is spelled Alpha like Alpha Omega.
Okay. Yeah, ALPHA.
Alpha Romeo. Yeah.
But it's definitely what they're going for. Now, again, it's a render. It's early on. There's a lot of electric car startups right now.
Yeah. But it's not a friggin' bubble car. I don't want a bubble car. If you want to get people excited about EVs, make them look cool.
Yeah.
Like nothing undersells the future than this like glob with wheels on it.
Like that Zook thing that's coming out soon.
I mean, I was arguing in Facebook comments with this guy. Not really arguing, but he's like,
"Oh, it's Facebook." Well, it was definitely an argument.
Well, he's like, "Well, if you want like an EV car and you don't have to put like an internal combustion engine in it, then they should rip off like whatever the Fiat like van thing that was like a Vanagon,
the Multipla."
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't like. No, I want a 3-box sedan. I like it because it looks like that.
There needs to be a stepping stone for people like that are used to cars.
And I'm like, it doesn't matter that he's like, well, one of the boxes was made to hold the engine. It's like, it doesn't matter. That can just be
more storage,
cargo space now because the these things are being designed to use the EV skateboard chassis that everybody's coming out with. So
Yep.
it's like, where all the batteries are in the floor and the motors are way down low, and then you just have basically a flat pan.
Yep. And the design of the car is carte blanche to do what you want at that point.
Yeah.
No,
So
I agree. I think what it is people who were born and are around and know what a car is are going to be more comfortable switching to something that looks like a car still.
Exactly.
That's where it's at. So that's what you need to have and then maybe in the future they could slowly design that away to a point where, it just becomes a box on wheels. But at the same time, part of the 3-box design's bonus is that its efficiency as far as drag coefficient and making the car slippery. Because at the end of the day, a box is going to be a box, and it's going to be a brick going down the road, and you're going to have to push a brick down the road. It's going to take more energy.
Well, if you do want to make a vehicle that will transport like 6 people in it comfortably, then yes, it will look like a box, right? It'll look like that weird autonomous like Zoox thing.
Yeah, Zook, I think it was called.
That's like a taxi cab. But if I want a personal vehicle, I want it to look cool, because for me, the vehicle I drive needs to look good.
Right.
Like, this is one of the reasons why e-Golfs sold so well, is because they look like Golfs and they act like Golfs when you drive them.
Yep.
Actually, those are being discontinued because Volkswagen is coming out with their ID3 and ID4s. But why else would Volkswagen design an electric vehicle that looks like their original Transporter? Because it looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. There needs to be...
Like in Back to the Future, when Marty's like, Doc, why'd you use a DeLorean? He's like, well, if you're going to build a time machine, might as well do it with some style.
That's a valid point. Everything goes back to that movie all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't hate the idea of electric cars anymore. I've come to agree that, hey, it's probably part of...
I don't either, but like
future.
If that vehicle existed and it has like 250 miles of range, that's like a perfect city car.
250 miles is excessive for a city car. It can be 150 miles and be okay.
Yeah.
So, no, I like it. And like I said, we've had the electric car discussion in this house, because once this whole work from home thing is over and people start going back to their offices, Naomi's going to need a car that she can get in the HOV lane with, because she's going to have a longer commute. So we talked about electric cars, because here in Arizona, the car has to be a full electric car to get access to the HOV lane, or, multiple passengers. But if you're by yourself, it can't be a hybrid or anything like that. It needs to be a full electric car. So we've had the discussion for sure.
Speaking of another car with some cool style, I saw and I sent it to you, the Tipo 184.
Yes.
Which is a project from Ant Anstead of our favorite car show, Wheeler Dealers.
Yep.
And he has designed a kit with some other people to take Miata components and build it into something that looks like a pre-war Formula One car.
Yeah, it looks like an old Alpha.
Yep.
So
full tube chassis, basically runs Miata engine, transmission, rear diff, some other components, and there's some custom stuff for like radiators and things.
Yeah, and it's like 10 grand.
And it's single seater.
Yeah.
And they hide, you see it with the wheel off, they hide the disc brake inside like the fin
drum.
Yeah, the fin drum.
Yeah. Yeah, they're super cool, no question. I think that this concept goes back a long ways, back to like the 60s, when companies made the Bugatti kits. They called them Bugattis, because they were based on Volkswagen Beetles. But they never looked quite right, and you could always look at one and be like, "Oh, that's a Volkswagen Beetle under there," because they had to hide the engine, the flat 4, inside the bodywork, and the big giveaway always was a suspension. So when I first heard about this project, I didn't have much hope for it for that same reason, because they're using Miata subframes. So I figured, well, it's going to have to hide the Miata subframe, and it's going to look ungainly and wide.
But the front of the Miata does use double wishbone. So
yep. And somehow they made it so that it all just looked vintage. You don't look at it and go, that's a Miata. You don't look at it and go, that's some fiberglass homebrew on top of Miata suspension.
No, the proportions are really well done.
It looks really good. It looks really good, and I was blown away when I saw it finally, the finished product. I definitely like that a lot. If I had everything else I wanted for cars, I would certainly consider building one of those. My only main problem with it, and I discussed this with you earlier, I don't get the use case for it.
Yeah, I don't know where I'd use it.
Because it's not technically street legal. It's got no lights, no windshield. It's not technically racetrack legal because it's got no safety equipment. There's no roll bars. There's no proper seat belts or seats or anything. It's neat. It's and it's what I would say could be a track toy, but you need to make sure that tracks are going to allow it out there first. Even a lot of local track day stuff, they don't let you run a convertible without a roll bar, right?
That's correct.
So this thing doesn't have this doesn't even have an A pillar. Like,
no,
there's nothing
it looked like
in
it sort of had a integrated hoop, but not really above your head.
Yeah, there's not enough, I don't think, to make it. Unfortunately, we've seen what happens in these old open cockpit race cars. We unfortunately were there when a man passed away racing one at Lime Rock a few years back. It's very dangerous when your head is the crumple zone. So helmet or not, the things attached to your helmet, like your head and your neck, are still very, it's neat. And I wish Ansted and the company behind it well, and they sell a ton of them. I'm lacking the use case of this vehicle. Are they going to offer with clip-on lights and stuff to make them street legal?
I don't know.
Because if that's the case, I'd be more into it. And that point, it's like it kind of becomes a motorcycle as far as use case goes. Like, it's a single-person vehicle, but it's cool. And it'd be something that's wind in your hair. Maybe good for somebody who wants a motorcycle but can't hold a motorcycle up anymore, or doesn't want to have two wheels or like to have four wheels. If it could be made street legal, I might be more on board. I don't know what the proper use case for it is. I think the cool thing is it looks like an old race car. It probably has the same power as an old 1930s Alfa, but from a reliable, Miata 4-cylinder, it'll just go and go and go and go. So that's cool.
It's super cool.
Yeah, and I like the price of it. It's like it's something that could be attainable for, average middle class guy in his garage could build that. There's what's the company that makes the Bugatti kits and stuff now? Persang.
Oh, those are like,
but they're $250,000 or more.
Well, the Persang is when you already own a Bugatti, but that's worth too much to actually drive it, so you buy a high grade copy.
Yeah, exactly. But it's that same kind of style, just in something that's more, normal user priced. So, but the Persangs, the use case is you're a rich guy and you can tell the track what you're doing. Yeah. Whereas this is like the track management's going to look at you like, you want to do what with what? No, our liability doesn't allow for that. So I dig it, and if they come up with a good use case for it, I'm all on board. But I'm just it's a little off to me about what that use case is. So the big thing I took away from all of this, Andrew, is I didn't realize what a celebrity Ant Ansted was until you showed me today.
I didn't either. That blew my mind.
He was married to some TV show host from some flippin' house thing.
It's Flip or Flop.
There you go.
It's like the biggest show on HGTV because my wife and I watch it sometimes. So the two main people on the show, I always forget that it's like Taruk Musad or something. I always forget his name. They were married to each other. They were on the show for many years. They were very publicly divorced, like all in the tabloids, but they still partner up to flip these houses, like super expensive homes all through California. And HGTV is part of Discovery Network, which Wheeler Dealers is on the Discovery Network. So I don't know. Maybe they were at like the company Christmas party or something and met each other. But I didn't realize that they were like a thing until last night. And I was like, whoa, that blows my mind.
Which they're no longer a thing.
No, they are.
No, they're divorced.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I was looking at this. I typed Ant Ansted in to find the information about this car, and it was all stuff from like not Weekly World News, but what's the National Enquirer and Us
Oh,
Weekly and Cosmopolitan and all
it
these
must be
different,
pretty recent then.
yeah, must be, and all these different tabloids about the split and divorce of Flipper Flop Lady and Aunt Anstead from Wheeler Dealers. And
Oh,
the
weird.
fact that his name didn't just come up with Wheeler Dealer stuff was like, what? Why is this even a thing? So yeah, and it's all about Aunt Anstead's holiday plans. Now he's going to spend them alone for the first time in however long, and like can't even see his kids because lockdown in England. And I was just like, what? I don't care about this. I don't care about his life. I just want to see the cars he's building. What is this business? But
Yeah.
I assume he is that kind of celebrity now because he married her, who's so popular, and then
Weird.
divorced her. So, but anyway, that it's such is the life of the Hollywood tabloid. Like all those Hollywood people are married and divorced every 10 seconds. So
I feel like it's a weird LA thing, but it's strange to us Yankees.
yeah, it's like a what do you call it when like royals marry other royals to keep royal bloodlines? It's like that kind of not feudalism. There's a word for it I'm trying to think of.
I don't know.
But anyways, it's that kind of thing where celebrities, get together with these celebrities and marry and have kids and then divorce, marry another celebrity and have kids to try to like up their celebrity power, I guess. I never pictured Aunt Anstead as a celebrity. He's just this guy who fixes cars in a TV show you watch. But I guess in the world of California, Hollywood, New York, California, Hollywood relationships, he must be a celebrity now. So it's just weird because he's new to the whole scene versus Mike Brewer, and Mike Brewer's never been like a celebrity beyond car people.
Yeah.
So, although they have one of the most popular car shows ever made.
Yeah,
So,
but like Mike Brewer was at Redwood too.
yeah, just
and it
hanging
was
out.
like not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, people weren't really swarming him.
Yep. But I'm sure that Aunt Anstead now, who's a tabloid guy, probably would be because maybe it goes back to that same thing we always talk about. People only buy the cars they're told to buy. People only follow the celebrities they're told to follow. Maybe that's what it is.
I guess.
I don't know. Whatever. That's outside of my purview by a mile and a half. So
Way outside of this podcast subject matter too.
Well, normally it is, but hey, if somebody who we've chatted about on this before is now in this celebrity limelight, then it's going to come to fruition a little bit. We're just not going to get into his. I don't care about his divorce and his whole details of all that, but it's just interesting to see. Of course, I did. It's related. You're not going to make me feel bad about that, Andrew. I didn't. I wasn't reading Us Weekly and saw Aunt Anstead. I was actually searching out Aunt Anstead things. Damn it, he caught me. No. Anyway, do you have any car-related Christmas ornaments hanging, Andrew? Or is that just me?
I think we do. I didn't really look. I didn't decorate the tree.
Damn it. So lame.
It's all Stephanie.
Well, I enjoy hanging my car ornaments in the tree, so I always do that. That question fell flat. You're supposed to say yes and describe something, but that's okay. We'll leave it at that.
Good talk.
We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it and the podcast at that. How's that sound?
I just never think of it. I know a lot of people hang like Hot Wheels. I don't know. We don't have a lot of car stuff around our house.
Yeah, you're weird.
Keep it relative in one room.
Yeah, you're low key. I'm not low key.
No.
So
no, I don't want to be like, boom, cars everywhere. I want it to look like a normal house.
Well, honestly, I have it pretty subtle. I have two glass cabinets in the living room on either side of the entertainment center that have cars in them. But as far as decorations in the house that are car related, that's pretty much it. I mean, I have my office where I work out of. I have stuff on the shelves here, but that's my office. But
sure, yeah, my spaces have stuff, but
yeah,
not the general living areas.
Well, I don't know. I spend a lot of money on this stuff, and to me, it's my quote unquote art. So I like having it around, and we talked early on about what we're going to have on display, and she's got bicycle stuff, and I have car stuff, and we each have our own areas, and it works out well. So unfortunately, I have a little bit more of an area because I have more stuff, but that's because I've been collecting stupid die casts for how old am I? Almost 40. So almost 40 years. So Anyway, but yes, I have Christmas decorations all over my tree that are cars. I've been doing that. I'm sure people have noticed the Diecast Daily on our Auto Off Topic pages.
Yeah.
And I did this week all Christmas themed cars because I had more than I thought I had. But a lot of them are Hallmark ornaments, which is neat. And then a couple other weird diecasts that are not Hallmark stuff. But that's how you know you have too many diecasts, when you can do a week of Christmas themed diecasts.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I did ask you to do some homework, so hopefully you'll be able to do it. Is that like your top 5 castings of 2020?
That's coming out next week. That's going to be next week's
Awesome.
theme. Yeah,
Awesome.
we're gonna do one a day, and then we're gonna do at the end of the week we're gonna have the 5 like pictures of all of them together.
All right.
I figured I'd do top 5, so I keep it Monday through Friday.
Nice.
So yep. So yeah, look forward to that next week. So we'll finish out this week with Diecast Daily of Christmas cars. There's a full-size tractor trailer coming up next.
Ooh.
Actually, no.
Well,
After today, there's a
scale.
well, scale, a full-size scale. Yeah, full. Meaning it's a tractor and trailer that are Christmas themed. Sorry, it is not an actual tractor trailer. Yes. What scale are we doing today, guys? 1-to-1. No, so there's actually, I didn't post it up yet. I took pictures earlier. There's another ornament one going today, and then tomorrow for Christmas Eve is the 18-wheeler. So actually, I think it would be a 14-wheeler because it's an old 50s truck. It only has 6 wheels in the cab. But anyway,
Cool.
pedantic discussion that's not important to the end of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to end it right here, Andrew. I think that's a podcast.
I'm calling it a podcast.
Sweet.
So, Merry Christmas, everyone.
And to all,
we'll be
good
back.
night.
We'll be back before the new year. Well, at least 2 more episodes, I think.
Ooh, 2. Put us on the spot.
1 or 2.
Yeah, hey,
We'll
I have the next 4 days off. We can definitely record.
Yeah.
So.
So as always, keep cars analog. A name for the roses.
Oh, I was just about to say it. I was going to take your thunder. Oh, speaking of which, do you know that it was 3 years ago yesterday we recorded that episode?
Oh, was it?
Yep. It came up on my memories in Facebook.
Huh.
Still to this day, my favorite episode.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty good.
We need to do another deep dive or something like that. It's been a while.
Pretty good.
Unlike the end of this podcast. It was pretty strong up until the last 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And the bleeding.
Into Rolling Thunder.
Silence.